right. We are here. And just need to adjust this a little bit. And then we're good. All right, cool. Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's stream. We are currently down a Sonder the man. So he is
Sonder the sick man.
Sonder.
Mhm.
Sonder the infirm.
The legend.
Sonder the alien.
Sonder, if you're watching it all and not currently dying, I don't know.
Yes.
Also, if you end up watching this in the future,
Hi, future Sonder. We love you.
yeah.
Or we were sorry to hear of your passing.
No.
Oh,
I don't know how to
yikes.
put it to words there, but that was implied.
Holy moly.
Get better.
Yeah, get better. Get well soon. Oh no.
And if this is in the future where you have passed, get better.
Oh no, it's so bad. Okay, anyway. All right.
I mean, there's how many of us? There's just enough to be pallbearers.
Maybe we can find a different topic.
Fair enough.
All right. Yes, I lost my train of thought. But there's the hype train, so there goes one train replaced by another. Hey. Welcome everybody to tonight's game. As I said, we're gonna be down a person, but we are trekking and stuff. It'll be a good time. Announcements wise, anything? I don't have anything.
Not yet.
Not yet. Cool.
Okay.
Dope. In that case, stay tuned for announcements when they appear.
If you're not in the
Anything else?
Discord, join the Discord for the most up-to-date announcements.
Oh,
Let
yes.
me type the magic words.
Magic words. Magic
There
words.
we go.
Yeah. All right. Join the
Hannah
Discord.
says- Hannah's our enforcer.
Oh, I guess this could be that's an announcement. Over at Bards of New York next Monday, they will be having their campaign finale, and we have been friends of the Bards of New York for a while, and we have played some games with the Bards of New York.
It's just a real incestuous relationship at this point.
Sure.
They're in our games, we're in their games.
I'm adopted, so there's no incest going on there.
Anyway, we are excited to see there are actual siblings involved over there, so that is true. Oh no. Hannah, you're not
Nice.
Hannah, you're not helping.
So go watch the finale if
So
you're
go
into
watch the
that kind
finale.
of thing.
Yeah, if you
What kind of thing?
if you're wanting some
Siblings?
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say something about Game of Thrones,
Sorry.
and I just decided not to. Anyway.
You know, now I feel like I should at least announce the Whoops All Giovanni episode of ETN that we're eventually going to do, because apparently we can make those jokes now.
Oh my goodness. All right. Yes. So go give them some loving and support. They're gonna need all of the tissues. So if you want to donate a box of Kleenex, let them know that you want to do so. And I'm sure we can get it to them at some point. But
They
anyway.
do have a PO box now, so we can.
Oh yeah. So send all the send them tissues. That'd be great. I don't know.
Send them issues.
Yeah, that's just an idea. Other than that, I don't have any much more in the way of announcements. So, I guess we'll just go ahead and kick it off into tonight's game of. I almost said Game of Santos. Wow.
It's
Wow,
only been
wow.
a year since we played that.
Literally, it's fine. Here we go. right. I forgot. It's dark in there. Okay. We are back.
Hey, Cypress, congratulations on your promotion from the bottom row to the middle row, which is now currently the bottom row. So,
It's still so is it
I assume you're talking about
condolences?
in Twitch placement.
yes, in
Yeah,
Twitch.
or is it condolences to Laertes?
For a second, I was
for
very
going to the
wary of
bottom
that.
row?
Congratulations.
I fail to see the problem to being underneath Phoebe.
Mr. might have
Clearly,
words.
Themisto's enjoyed herself, so
Oh Lord.
It's gonna be one of those kind of nights.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Okay.
look, just because you're not always invited, Aaron.
Yeah. All right, I'm checking volume levels. Make sure we're good. We're good. All right. Our crew, the young Orphics, have managed to make their way to the seaside village of Prasiae after having had a rather violent awakening earlier this morning, where they had had their ship shipwrecked onto the shore without major damage. Having had the crew fallen under the spell of Harpy's siren-like song, a few of the crew members having been lost to the sea, and Davos and Xanthus having been pretty heavily wounded, having tried to fight off said harpies. The crew got the ship back in the water, met a couple of Alceid, a nymph-like... no, not nymphs. What are they called? Well, I mean, they are nymphs, but the almost like dryads, but of the harvest. These having befriended, or having Astrid having befriended them, had a little bit of a conversation, tried to create some new allies, and they said that they would pass the word along. Phoebe having taken flight, you guys saw that there was a town in the distance to the south, and after having put the ship back in the water, I would say recasting away. That's not a word. Relaunched. There you go. That's the word. Found your way to this seaside village, where you guys had found Hermes' Blessing, a hostel. I hate using that word, but that's what it's called. It's not really a hotel or an inn, just a place where you can stay. You met the keeper there, Bremusa, a muscular hobgoblin woman who...
It's okay, you can call her a muscle mommy.
I'm not. I'm not. Those words will not leave my mouth.
It's okay, I said it.
Astrid will call her a muscle mom.
Astrid walks in and she's like, "I'm in danger here."
You guys also met here at this inn a
Dragonborn?
yeah, I was trying to think of another word, like just not quite suspicious, but a mysterious dragonborn woman whom is a self-proclaimed historian and seeker of truths, whom Laertes couldn't help but, compare notes with. And as her curiosity grew, she offered information for any questions you might have and any answers that you might give. She might try and return the favor if possible. And so, I believe... I failed to launch.
I got distracted looking at the mist, okay?
Okay.
That's the problem. That's
Yeah.
not your excuse.
Yep. All right. OBS is reconnected and we're back.
Fine, we'll blame Apollo. It's not like he can come fight me anyway.
Oh, snap. Come say something about it, Apollo.
All right. Right? That would be really great, Iskra. Okay. And I can watch. All right. So, cracks knuckles. I think that was about it. I had just finished the thing. So you guys had. Where did you last hear me say?
Suspicious lady information.
Oh, okay.
Trade.
Trade. Fair enough. So that's where you had left off there at the table with Ma'al Saj'ul.
By the way, your music is dead if you were looking to put that back up.
Oh, is it?
This
Oh,
is
it
true.
I know.
Yes.
Every time you come back for something like that, you have to reset like 50 different things.
Yeah. It's okay.
There we go.
Huzzah. Fixed. Okay. I think we're good. So you find yourself here at the table still with Ma'al. This blue, and she's got blue scales and like a little tan underside to her. She keeps her robes look rather worn from travel, but she looks like she has a lot of layers on, so she has this like very air of mysteriousness going on. And she had just finished speaking about what the fates have in store for you all and her, as she seemed to realize that there was a touch of destiny to you, if you will.
What did she say that she thought was in store for her, other than like her doomsday prepper mentality?
I don't think she had said there wasn't anything. I think the only thing she said was that one day she was going to find herself dead face down in a book or a scroll somewhere, but that was about the extent of it.
Okay.
Her seeking of knowledge.
As I recall, I did try to angle her towards Ilum instead of Athens.
Correct.
Partly because I think it would be better, but also just to get a reaction from her about that. I'm not quite sure I remember how she reacted.
She just asked why.
I remember rolling for it at one point, but
And then I think we had just introduced ourselves, and Astrid had just dropped the word Orphic.
oh,
When Astrid said that, even though Phoebe was shooting her death glares, could I see if that word registered anything in our new friend?
Sure.
Insight?
She
Right.
did say, I will make a note of this day that I've met the young Orphix.
Wow,
But-
we're off to a great start today. That was a natural one.
Okay. Well, it makes
no.
sense. You were shooting daggers, so you were not paying attention. But she had said it was not the name per se that had caused her to say that. It seemed more of just you as a group seemed interesting to her. And that's why she had said there seemed to be a touch of fate to you. And she was curious what the fates had in store for this. She's like, because I feel like this will not be the last time that she would hear of your name. That being said, she leans forward.
I'm out of curiosity. How long do you plan on staying here in Prasiae?
Oh, probably no more than a day or so.
I see.
Unless there's something you think that we should see.
I came here for its quietness. As far as towns go on the coast, it is not necessarily a place of much interest, and therefore, generally speaking, quiet. but I am welcoming this distraction that you have provided.
Have you researched much into the temple here?
Not necessarily. I have no interest in the healing arts. At least not yet. I'm sure there will come a time when it will be a priority, but for now, it eludes me.
Better to be prepared to scramble at what you failed to learn the first time around.
I suppose this is true.
Hmm.
You
And-
have interest in this god Asclepius?
In the sense that all of the many cults across the Aegean seem to have some kernels of truth, some small puzzle pieces that might amount to a clearer picture along the way.
On this we can agree.
So then, perhaps you'd like to go up there with us. Someone of your immense knowledge and exacting mind.
Exacting mind. Not a term I have heard applied to myself. I don't think ever. But an interesting compliment, I suppose. Are you planning on going this evening, or is it something that you are wishing to do tomorrow?
What time of day is it, Aaron?
I want to say it was evening when you guys got here, because it wasn't like you had to go far, and it had been a little past midday whenever you guys had pushed the ship back out to sea. So
Yeah, it might have been early evening maybe then.
Well, he looks to the others. It's all we need to have an early evening. Could make the most of the time that we have.
Yes, I wouldn't mind visiting the Temple of Asclepius. I think it would be good for me to go there, in fact.
Well, allow me to gather my things and put away others, and perhaps I will take this walk with you.
she starts gathering papers, just like thinks for a minute. And then she's
If she's amenable, he'll help where she allows.
you try and help her gather, and it almost seems like she does it on purpose, where she'll take the paper and like put it under another paper that you had like placed it on top. There doesn't seem to be any real rhyme or reason to like her piling things together. She's just kind of gathering it, but wherever you place it, she makes like almost a on purpose thing of like putting it somewhere else.
Entirely
instead.
arbitrary arrangement.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, did we pay for the... I'll just ask a character.
Okay.
Have we paid for our meal today already, or is this something we still need to do? Was it included in the lodging?
For the most part, over the top of the table. What's the word? It's not over the top of the table.
Above the table.
Throw it over the table.
See what happens when we don't play on Tuesdays? We just lose all rhythm.
It's all toast. Above table, you generally, whenever you pay for a room, a meal is included in your.
How could I forget the tradition? Of course you pay. Forget I said anything.
But I don't think you've actually paid for one yet. You've just like arranged to have one. So yes, either yes or no, however you want to.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
What is it? Schrodinger's payment?
Until you bring it up, you both have and have not been.
Beautiful. All right. So, you guys wanting to put stuff in your room before you go, or are you gonna go ahead and head out after you enjoy your snacks?
Yes, I
Um,
suppose it would be a good thing to do to set our packs down.
which would give her time to go and stuff this portable library she has with her somewhere.
When
This
Okay.
dragon's hoard.
Yeah.
was there anything that you guys are wanting to do before you meet up with her and head out again?
I would like to ask Themisto something as we're putting our bags down in our room.
Sure.
Themisto, what do you think the dryads meant? You said they told you they saw this son buried inside me.
If I understood them correctly, it is of course not my first language to speak this thing that the people of the forest and the seas do. But it felt like they could identify this as some sort of natural connection. It makes me wonder if perhaps there is something of the nymphs and dryads in you. I mean, for so long, Gorgons were a myth, right? But here I am, and then there are more of us, so maybe?
What if we run into them again before we run into Apollo, which is seeming increasingly more likely? Maybe we shall have to ask.
I think this would be a good thing. I had hoped maybe we could then and there, but of course, their people have their ways, and I don't know much about it, but it sounds like we may yet get the chance.
I think I would like that.
The mister's just gonna grab your hand real quick. Lean in, give you a little kiss on the cheek.
And Phoebe will give her a kiss back.
Okay. You. What? We're gonna say. We're gonna say anything, or are you just making a noise?
Did I make noises?
Oh, I
Did
thought
any
you
of
did.
us make a noise?
I thought you did. It sounded like I cut you off. That's why I was like, "Oh, sorry."
No.
Okay.
As far as I know, I didn't make any noises.
All right. Cool.
One of the snakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
it
Freaking
was Cleo.
Cleo, always. All right. So, meeting together with your, say your comrades, your companions, back in the main section of the tavern. And a couple of people that are gathered around for evening meal. You don't have to wait long before Ma'al Sajul returns from her room, slowly going with her walking like a large walking stick. You see her tail like kind of drag on the ground behind her. It's almost like it's a chonky tail. It's kind of like a crocodile. It's just like kind of wide as it kind of like comes down to a point versus just like a circular, like a tubular tail. It is more wide based. And she kind of steps forward. She's changed a little bit more of just plain brown robe with a hood that kind of pops over her head.
I see you all have prepared and relaxed, it seems. Shall we journey then to this temple of Asclepius?
Of course.
I shall follow you.
As we walk, I'm gonna make small talk with the party.
Okay.
Hey, Cypress, how are you faring?
Well, as far as I can tell, in thought, mostly, but that's not new.
Uh, what are you thinking about?
Asterion and the journey in general.
Of course.
What fills your thoughts these days? Or who,
Oof.
i-
Well,
in case that is the answer.
before we talk about me, there is a chance we will have to go towards your home in this journey of ours. Will
Even-
you... How will you approach this?
Matters have changed since I've left. The threat is too great. I do not simply discard the potential banishment that I will receive, but the thought that one of the shards has made its way there, or will make its way there without preparation and safety. It feels, while I have made up my mind about it, to put words to what I'm thinking feels almost like a loss or an admittance of defeat. Having been sent out on a mostly self-proposed mission, even though the circumstances have changed, part of me does not want to admit that it has.
Nah.
It still matters, but something else matters more.
I think that is a natural thing for us. Yes. For the future to be different than what we anticipated. Even in the advice of the Pythia when she gives it, often there is a choice or a bend in the river that we didn't see.
I try not to think
it is
about
natural, huh?
it. Is for the most part, while I can't stop myself from thinking about it, I try not to think about what could happen on a number of the timelines.
If you want, though, prophecy for me is still rare, I could try to find out.
That's kind of you. I am tempted, but I must go. And I would not want to be swayed if the answer would make me so.
I think that is wise.
Thank
We
you.
will speak more of this at some point, I am sure.
I'm sure.
And of your connection to Aphrodite too. I am interested to know how that has gone. Since we last spoke, it has been some number of days, at least about this
has.
thing.
I can't pretend to understand her mind or her goals for anything, much less myself. But as far as I know, I still have her support.
That is
I
a good thing.
wonder how, of the many ways that this could go, I wonder how certain results would affect my worthiness in her eyes. Worthiness of being her champion, I mean.
I suppose it is something to have on your mind. Mal, do you know anything about the champions of Aphrodite?
She kind of, you catch her, like, she kind of like shakes her head as she realizes you were talking to her.
Not off the top of my head. I was going to comment to Laertes that you all have spoken of having, well, connections or speaking to gods. I have not come across people so willing to be boastful of such things. You have such air of surety with them. Some people I know just tell fish tales, as it were, wishing that they had some sort of connection to the gods, but you speak with a clarity of truth I cannot say I have heard before. You truly have spoken to the gods.
Perhaps it is my confidence as an aspirant that buoys my companions. You see, I am of course seeking to become Patia, so my faith is strong, and it is the same for most of my companions.
Yes, true. However, there is, when you look into the young one's eyes, as he speaks, there is a difference between belief and faith, and knowing. He knows what he speaks is true. The same way that she, and she points over at Phoebe, the same way that she knows with such surety that the gods are not disappearing, as is told by those we spoke of earlier. You have given me something to think about, but unfortunately I have not given thought much to the stories I have heard of people claiming to be champions. Perhaps I must. In any case, I'm afraid Aphrodite and I do not really get along. I have given up on the mushy stuff many ages before that young thing was born.
Mr. Will, kind of giggle a little bit.
It's okay. She and I were not acquainted until very recently.
Oh, she was referring to Cyprus.
Oh, I know. Still, I'm gonna jump in on
Claim it.
the not
Yeah.
having any kind of to Aphrodite.
Ah, I gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Meaning that, just to clarify, that Phoebe and Aphrodite were not
Have-
acquainted
Really,
until
that's
recently.
what you wanted to do right then and there.
Meaning that.
Yeah.
Aphrodite and I.
Hey.
All right, well, it's been fun. See you later, everybody.
New haircut, and you're a whole new woman. All right.
Ooh.
She kind of
There were signs.
she as you guys are continuing walking, as you guys are continuing walking, there is like a little bit of like pensiveness to her.
Hmm.
She turns to Laertes
Hmm.
as you guys are approaching the temple now.
You, so far, are one of the only ones I have not heard speak so freely about the champions and belief and such. Do you not have a similar experience as your companions?
I tend to place belief in people and civilization. My faith is more in the scientific process rather than any one particular being, real or imagined.
I see. A believer in the people. I hope that they will not disappoint you in time.
I suppose the way to look at it is like children. To an extent, they are a product of who made them, who raised them. You can only hope to correct over time and then do better with the next generation.
Great
Ultimately, it's all
show.
our responsibility.
Yes. Yes, this is true. Well, we shall see where that gets us both.
It's part of why I started teaching.
And what of the future? Future generations seem bright, hopeful even.
Some.
Indeed, some.
Would be ignorant and naive to think that they would be without their challenges. But most of those challenges are their own making.
That and those who think their brains are so big. As you may have noticed, I have a aversion to describe like, even though
Oh, should I walk a little further away then?
even though I will say I probably come across as a scribe myself, being a historian.
I'd say studious.
Studious. Indeed.
You guys walk up to the small temple structure, probably about like 50, 60 feet long. Only about like 40 or so wide. It's not a very big building. But you do see that aside from the wooden structure and the stone pillars that sit out front, this one does seem to have on the, as you're approaching it, on the left-hand side, there is a almost like a open tent canvas-like area where a bunch of smaller beds can be seen. Almost like it would be like a makeshift quick hospital, as it were, a camp hospital sort of thing. But it is not a it is not filled, or there's no people around it right now, so it just seems kind of empty. But you can see that perhaps in the cases of emergency, they can bring people here. On the right-hand side of the building is what looks like a home that has been attached to the temple itself. Currently, as you are walking up the staircases, there are some low-hanging braziers that Braziers.
Braziers.
God damn it. I literally was thinking as I said it that I needed to make sure that I don't say the other one, and I didn't do it.
Can't believe you would talk about Ma like that.
Ma with her. Anyway. Okay. As I was saying.
Go on.
Anyway, there's this low-hanging light that's lights the area and creates a nice little
Low-hanging
ambiance.
fruit, you'd say?
No, light. Specifically light. What kind of decor is this? Listen.
It's one of those boob lights that are on like every apartment ceiling.
Every apartment ceiling.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the
I
fad of
actually have one in this room.
the fad of chest tattoos that people just call titty chandeliers. No? Look it up on
Apparently,
Google.
you're
It's
the
a thing.
only one Googling that.
I don't Google it. I just notice. And then I Google.
In any case.
Okay, you're not the first DM to mispronounce that word. Nor
There-
will you be the last.
There is a kind of a lack of people around at the moment.
But there are people?
Well, they don't. I'm like, there's like, as you've been walking up to it, seems that it's, at the moment is kind of quiet.
I guess I'll sort of walk up to the threshold, such as it is, and sort of.
Doors are open.
Mhm.
On the inside, in the low lit interior, you can see in the back a marble statue of a man sitting at a what almost looks like a throne, with a staff, with the snakes coiled around it.
I forget what the Asclepius is. A single snake or two snakes?
Single.
Single. Depends on your version. For the most part, though, it is a single.
Yeah, because there's the caduceus, and then there's
Yeah, that's the one that's been co-opted and is wrong. But
yeah.
which I found ironic for Taliesin. But anyways, he'll sort of peek his head in, looking around, see the statue, the staff, and for a moment he thinks about the few times he's been to some of the smaller temples to Asclepius in his youth. Hello, is there anyone here?
There's a moment of quiet before, from the side house, you hear a man's voice. "I'll be with you in a moment." And then coming out from the abode on the right-hand side, you see a man with a white toga is the wrong word, but like a white wrap around his waist. See, comes up. You can see in one hand he's got like a piece of bread with what looks like either smeared butter or cheese. He's like, "Sorry, it's been a moment since anybody has come this late in the evening. How may I? He throws it over his shoulder. How may I help you?"
Mostly we were just curious about the temple and some local history. No one's in need of any.
You see his eyes
medical.
as you were saying that. His eyes kind of are like looking over everybody to see if there's any like a. Oh, okay. I see. What? My name is Aratus. I am the head priest
Put
here.
that in chat.
Oop, nope. I added an I there that was not there.
Aratus.
Aratus.
Apparently is that kind of night.
He looks
No,
like
this won't hurt a bit.
he looks like mid-30s, maybe late 30s.
So he's the oldest man we've ever seen.
No, you've seen plenty of old men. There were some old men in the last village. What are you talking about?
We've seen plenty of old women.
No, it's if you can make
Also
it through
that.
childhood, you get to live to an old age. That's what brings down the average.
So yes, he's kind of
And
looks a
we-
little
And we came here to pay our respects and perhaps leave an offering.
Oh, well, I'm sure my father will be pleased. Please.
Do you have anything? I forgot to look for something on the well cup.
Themisto, you have become the god offering like gift shop.
I do.
quick, we gotta find something, a keychain or something to give to them.
I cast Eo Holy Tchotchke.
In fact, I am glad that we've come. Also, Themisto has not been shy about her snakes while she's been here.
Okay.
Her hood has not been up.
Okay. Then in which case there is definitely a double take and a squinting of the eyes, like he's not sure if in the low light that he is seeing what he thinks he's seeing. And then just kind of makes a mental note and just continues his like talking with everybody.
Are the town's population that we've seen so far, I know we haven't seen many, hobgoblins? Or
this one, I mean, Adatus is human. This seems like the caretakers at Hermes' Blessing have been Spartan / hobgoblin. There does seem to be a higher amount of hobgoblin or half hobgoblin people here, but they are, for the most part, have been human here. Besides, like it seems like it's one of those two.
Okay.
When you say for the most part have been human, so they're like centaurs?
No, they're either human or hobgoblin.
I know, I'm just being so.
Most of their parts are human. But they've got satyr legs.
Where I thought that was going. Okay.
Okay. Please, come with me. Come with me. Like, tightens his little wraparound sheet that he has around his waist as he walks, kicks the dust off his feet as he gets up onto the steps and enters into the temple space. You may make your prayers or leave your offerings, whatever you wish. If you are sure none of you need any sort of attention, he hesitates as he looks over at Laertes a little bit. A sandwich, perhaps? Nothing?
Not the first time I've been to the Temple of Asclepius. I assure you I'm okay.
As you wish, as you wish. Yes, but have you been to any of the temples of Asclepius that are run by his children?
I profess not to my knowledge.
Nah. Ha!
Did you say you are the son of Asclepius?
Yes. Sometimes proudly, sometimes not so much.
Insight check?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, depends on if you ask me or my half
Does he
sister.
cast snake oil at max level or?
Go for it.
While they're rolling, I would like to whisper to Cypress, so would that make me his aunt?
I don't know, but I was kind
No,
of thinking,
great-
asking about the
great-
sandwich.
Great aunt?
Would it have been a free sandwich?
Typical teenager. Yes. Food?
Yeah, wait
Wait, Asclepius' aunt? Why?
No, I've joked that I'm Apollo's sister. Apollo was like my brother. And Asclepius is the son of Apollo
Oh,
in stories.
then
Which is very weird to think about him
Yes.
having a son, but they're also very old.
you've got to have like a lot of siblings then. Or cousins. Or nieces and nephews.
The family reunion gets really weird.
It's all of it. From what I hear, the heritage is like,
Well, and then you bring Zeus into it, it's just everybody.
let's not.
I missed out what we're gonna say.
I got a 24.
I got a third of that.
Beautiful. It's like You know me and fractions. Gotta love it. They exist. Wee.
Lots of infractions.
Okay. For Laertes.
You don't know shit. Moving on.
No, I mean he speaks with just a casualness that doesn't seem to lean towards any sort of untruth. Like, for the most part, people like what Ma'al has said. When they speak of these fishtails, they're usually like trying to make sure that you understand. He's just saying it very casual. Like, yeah, you know, like he said, kind of proud of it, also kind of not. So take that as you will. For Themisto, to a higher degree, he does not seem to be lying. He's just very casual about it. Cavalier,
man-
almost.
This man's trying to sell me a used chariot, isn't he?
So, was this place in particular need, this small village, to find the son of Asclepios in such a place? It's unusual, I think.
Well, yes, there aren't too many of us. He had more daughters than sons, but and we're scattered about. Not all of us work within the temple grounds, you could say. But I had been traveling for a while. The high priest here was in need of assistance with wounded that were coming in from fields. So I wound up staying.
Mm.
Healing is a very important gift to have and to share with others.
And something that I found comes naturally to me, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Once someone knows, once the word gets out that they know you can heal there,
You have to see every weird lesion and boil and...
you would not believe the things I have seen in this village alone. The
So that you have my sympathies then.
The stories I could tell you. The gods
Are you
have
the
mercy
only
on my
one?
eyes. No, the my sister Yaso, she also tends to the temple whenever I am not. We're in the middle of
Whenever
eating
you're
dinner.
overwhelmed by the
Or whenever
amount of
I am sleeping,
thickness
she
you've seen.
wakes. Whenever I wake, she sleeps. That sort of thing.
Oh my goodness,
What's the sister's name again?
Yaso. I will put it in chat again. Or not again, but
Also,
it looks like it almost, but it doesn't.
my first thought was Iago, but
Yes.
oh,
Gilbert
please tell me she's
Gottfried.
voiced. Yeah, I was gonna say she's voiced by Gilbert Gottfried.
I'm
He just comes out of the back. "Oh, you fool!"
You wouldn't believe the things I have to put up with in this town.
That's your best voice.
Uh,
Actually, considering Martel is in the chat, it bothers me he's not in here now.
Oh no.
And that's when Aaron goes, actually.
I've been expecting it for
Click.
like a month at this point, so
and coming in as Iaso.
A
it wasn't
parrot.
before, but
Yeah, for real.
We will let you return to your dinner, but there is
It was-
something.
It is no problem.
You asked if any of us needed attention. I could use the attention of your ears, please, for a moment.
Sure, it was. I can say with a certainty, I have not had the experience of
Listening to a Gorgon in the flesh, or in any sort of situation, honestly.
Cypress.
Nor have many yet. You see, I am an aspirant. Go ahead, Cypress. You can say your
Oh,
little thing.
Sorry, I was throwing in the little flavor text of Cypress looks at Phoebe and whispers, "You have." Carry on.
Yes, and have something from Delphi for this town. I did not know it was for this town, but with the Temple of Asclepios here, it feels right. Themisto is going to take from the little waist pouch on her rope belt that, she's grounded most of her medicinal supplies and religious implements, but this she brought. And she will take out a few seeds and press them into Arata's hand. Yes. These seeds, and do you know what they are?
He opens them. What are
And
they?
you could judge if you would know. It's a mint variety. It's lemon balm.
Oh, then yeah, you would know.
Lemon balm.
Yes. It looks of good quality.
Yes, given to the temple by one of the petitioners many years ago, I am sure that we grow the things that are left as offerings many times. And I am sure you are familiar with their help with calming nerves. If you put them in a tincture,
Of course.
I think it is important that this village begins to grow the lemon balm. If you can convince the farmers that this should be one of their crops, it will help them greatly in times to come.
He goes to his, looks around, goes to by a nearby pillar that looks like it had some old incense like dust, takes it out and shakes it upside down, wipes it on his sheet, and then puts it in there, sets it back down on the side, and just kind of like, he's kind of got one of those personalities of just being kind of kooky, but smart kooky, if that if that makes sense. Puts it down and kind of like gestures for it, like as if telling it to stay, and then goes back to you, and then like scratches a little bit of the scruff at his face, and just like, if I may be bold enough to ask, should there be a reason for concern?
Just consider this advice from someone who would try to one day be Bethia. I cannot say for certain that this is going to be important, but I have a feeling it will be.
No. One does not simply come in and say, you should do a thing, because maybe I have a feeling, especially coming from an aspirant Pythia, and then expect me to not be concerned a little bit, because maybe it is something important. If you are saying something, it's probably important.
A cat running across the roof of the vault.
Apparently someone is falling down these stairs above. It's fine.
It's Asclepius.
Father, is that you?
And they came home from getting cigarettes.
Asclepius Claus is here with compression bandages for all the children.
Please, if there is something that we can do to prepare for something that is bad that is coming, you can't just leave it at that. It has been mine and my sister's responsibility to care for the well-being of not only Prasiae, but the surrounding villages and farmers. If there is something that we must do, tell us. We have seen plenty to believe that any aspirant If they say something is a feeling, it is probably more than just a feeling. Also a great song.
There's always something on the horizon. Whether a season or a decade from now, there's always going to be a need for your services. It's just always better to be prepared and not left wanting when there is need.
He looks at each of you. And looks over at the at Ma'al. Do I have permission to verify a curiosity? It will not be intrusive. But you're not the only one who has feelings sometimes. And I must be certain of mine.
It will help you to heed the words that I have brought them. And yes.
He puts a hand out. Palm outwards towards your forehead. But
The
doesn't...
snakes initially kind of,
Yeah.
but then you see them subtle, kind of
The
understanding Themisto's feelings in the situation.
The gesture is kind of akin to whenever a person approaches a horse and they're kind of like put the hand out and they wait for that, like, it has to be from both sides. Like they can't make the full course of the move. So the gesture is wanting to kind of put palm to forehead a little bit, but is not going to go reaching for it. You have to move, do the other half if you are willing.
She will.
The moment his palm touches your forehead, there's this like calming, soothing sensation that you can feel over your body. It's not quite a calm emotion spell kind of thing, but it's almost like a sigh of relief. And he pulls back. And does the same to Laertes.
He'll briefly look over at Themisto, more so like kind of getting her sense of it before he'll lean in.
Would I have any notion of what just occurred other than feeling relaxed?
Make a medicine check.
Nat 20.
This would potentially fall within the lines of a sort of like gauging. I mean, we as a society have always become accustomed to the feeling of a forehead for fever, right?
Yeah.
It is almost in that sort of sense of like testing a feeling. And though that gesture has been in use from time immemorial, probably, this seems to be almost like a temperature check. Is what it feels like. It's just a testing of something, but there was something else than the way he did it that just made it, you felt like you were in safe hands, felt comforted almost. Like I said, it wasn't quite a 5 check, exactly. It wasn't quite a calming of emotions like it would forced you to feel it. It just, you felt for some reason safe.
Okay. Themisto will go ahead and kind of nod to Laertes that it seems fine. It was... Well, that's probably all I can communicate with non-verbally.
He'll lean into it with a sense of, now I'm trying to track something that I don't know what it is I'm even looking for. Not that I don't expect him to get anything out of this. More just a case of he's just expecting something.
Right. So you do the same?
Mm-hmm.
There is the same whenever his hand presses to your top of your forehead, just kind of like here, and that bottom of the palm kind of touches your forehead. It's almost like you exhale a breath that you didn't realize you were holding. And again, like I had told, now it is Laertes that feels this, like, I guess for you it's almost a little more personal because it reminds you almost of the feeling of a parent comforting a child, in the sense of when you were feeling ill and they are kind of checking on you, feeling your temperature, like basically that comfort of like you are trusting in them and feeling that you are in safe hands. But it goes beyond that for you, and I need you to make an Arcana check for me.
I can do that. I hope. 17.
You being a wizard of sorts, there is a little bit of Orphic ability that is happening here. It is a sort of scan, but it is the most minute of invasive kind. You can feel that there is a connection with that skin-to-skin contact of a tingling sensation that kind of goes across your body. And as though you're not really sure what it is that he is scanning for or is looking for, or what he can gather from that touch, but you can tell that there is some sort of passing of energy from him to you, and then it's almost like a echolocation kind of sensation of it going into you, back out to him. And it's just brief, but it's peaceful, and you're like, you feel change. Okay. Yeah.
In that moment, because he starts to realize what's happening, he doesn't just lean into it, he actually puts the hand over the hand and kind of just presses it further, as if encouraging more of a scan. Or whatever word that he would have for it at the moment.
Right. The priest he's doing this, he had done when he did it with the mist, had closed his eyes, and then upon opening them, kind of just like had an aha moment face. He does that with you. And are you keeping your eyes open? I'm assuming you're watching his expression as he's doing this, right?
Yeah.
There is a little bit of a he's had his eyes closed, and then when you put your hand over his eyes open. And then almost just kind of nods in assurance, and then makes another hand sandwich on top of yours, and just kind of gives it a reassuring like squeeze and a pat before he pulls his hands away. And he looks at Cypress, looks over at Phoebe and Astrid and Ma'al, and just kind of nods and says, as I said, had a feeling, and now it is confirmed. I do not need to sense through all of you, and now he's making the assumption, I guess you could say, but you all share blood. Not literally sharing blood, clearly. He gestures to Ma'al, but
I do not know about our newest friend.
Oh.
And I'll look at Ma'al.
You are not all part of the same group? She shakes her head.
No. I've only just recently been introduced to these youngsters.
Ah, well,
But you... Sorry. Go ahead, Aaron.
you are in the presence of unusual members of society. Some call them demigods. Some have other terms for them.
I am a Gorgon after all, so.
You.
And
Mister
you...
is still trying hard to downplay it.
Yeah.
When you say you are a son of Skelpius, you are of the blood?
Yes. Though not as potent, as powerful as my father was. But yes. Both me and my sister. Not
I'm
all
gonna
of
look at Cypress and I'll say out loud, maybe I already am his great aunt.
there is a little bit of a moment with his face.
I was raised at the Temple of Apollo. You'll forgive my little joke.
I have heard stories of my grandfather, but I have yet to meet him. Forgive me, aspirant. I do not mean to bring personal matters forward or to the light. It is not our way as healers. But I had to be sure that it was not just a simple aspirant wishing to be Pythia, but that you were indeed, well, the real thing.
Then I have for you one more word. Since you did ask of this. Should the outside decide to approach the village, please advise the villagers to listen to what I have to say.
Have you been speaking to Alsaid out in the fields?
I did meet some, yes.
Jokesters and pranksters, those. I'm assuming it was two boys.
The very same, but they listened well to me.
Undoubtedly. They, as I, have certain feelings when it comes to people of shared bloodlines, as it were. They tend to listen to the blood more than those that do not. And if they listen to you, if there was another sign I needed, that would have been it. They mean well. They don't always understand the difference between jokes and serious things, but they are learning. And they've been rather helpful as of late. Or did you give them a message that they too should be paying attention to?
I did. Yes.
Excellent, I suppose. Though maybe not if you are telling us to prepare for something dire that would need these sort of remedies. Why don't you come and join us?
My companions and I have already eaten, but how can we refuse hospitality?
I'm sure my sister will have questions for you, as do I. Your companion here, I assume, is trustworthy. Ma'al just goes, looks. Ma'al like sees everybody kind of like.
I'll look to
The
Laertes and kind of see what his judgment is in this.
He's actually been sitting down in whatever was nearest to him at the time,
Mhm.
and he's kind of staring out for a little bit.
Miles just like,
I came simply out of curiosity with these people. I had, well, maybe not as clear a sense as you, but I had a feeling that there was more than meets the eye with these lot. I am but a simple historian. If by perchance I see history unfolding before my eyes, I am but a creature of curiosity. I promise I mean no harm to you or these new companions of mine.
I mean, this won't help us know it all, but Cypress's eyes will briefly flash and he'll divine sense her.
zip. There is nothing that comes
His
from
old
her.
lady sense is not tingling.
Yeah. From Asclepius, there is
Yeah, Cypress starts the rest and it's just
from Aditus, there is a little bit of a glow, the same kind of glow that you see whenever you look at your companions, basically.
Aratus,
Yes. Yes.
as a healer, do you understand the blood and the way it works very well?
No. Unfortunately. But we have been cataloging curiosities when they arise. They are very rare, and unfortunately, currently, me and my sister are the only of the blood that resides here in Prasiae, as far as we know.
I too have been unable to speak to your grandfather as of late. Seems as though I have a few questions that remain unanswered.
Whatever information and questions you have, we would be glad to try and help however possible. But please, it is getting late, and undoubtedly we are going to be the only ones here visiting this night, so I would prefer to do so in the comforts of, well, more comfortable spaces than this one.
Is it strange to say I pray that your temple stays quiet?
No, it is often that I pray the same thing, though it doesn't always happen. You would be surprised these stupid things farmers do when they are bored.
I imagine it is similar to the stupid things fishermen get up to.
God, the fishermen, don't even get me started. Please.
As we start to head out, I would like to walk beside Laertes and just kind of be there if he needs like a hand up. Or if he's even kind of like aware that we are moving to a different room.
It takes him a second before he realizes that there's a bit of movement, and he gets to his feet. He's a little slower about it than you've seen him typically. He doesn't seem to need the help, but I think the proximity is what prompted him to move more than anything else.
Laertes, are you alright? He didn't
He'll
knock
sort of
anything.
linger a little bit.
Didn't knock
and-
anything loose that was supposed to be tied away, did he?
Been to a few of these when I was younger, for obvious reasons.
Yes.
First few times there was hope. First time in a long time I felt that.
I
And now I know.
imagine it is strange to come back to a similar place.
I don't really know what to do with it.
You don't have to figure it out immediately.
It's what I do. But with the prospect of some manner of longevity. It's having me rethink a few things, and I don't know what any of it really means now.
This journey has been full of questions and very little answers.
More than I expected, fewer than I'd hoped.
Maybe we won't get those answers for a very long time, but
Well, shall we?
You guys are moving down the steps towards this side house when you see that there is a small crowd of people that is marching their way up to the temple very hurriedly. There's probably about like 6 or 7 that are gathered, and 2 of them you see are helping carry a young man. Hold on.
wow, what an interesting name. How many others are
How do you spell that exactly?
With the change in location, would now be a good time to take our little break, or?
Hold on.
Gotta give us a farmer with a missing thumb first.
You see the man is like waving down the priest. Is like, Aratus, and you see Aratus is like turns his attention. He's like, Belos, what are you doing? Then he like his eyes widen and he sees that he's like, oh gods, is that Cylon? What is the matter? And he like rushes past you guys to the group that's coming up. Like he's completely forgotten that you guys are there and immediately goes rushing, lifts his skirt up as he's like his sandaled feet are like running towards the group. You can see this man, Belon. He is seems to be a little out of breath. He looks completely soaked and very, very sunburnt. We have been lost at sea for the entirety of the day and only just managed to swim back on a piece of driftwood. My son, he was attacked. We were all attacked last night while we were fishing. Harpies sank our ship. At least in part it was harpies, but they wounded Cylon. I don't know what is wrong with him. And as they're like, bring him to the tents. They move over to that side where the open air area is. And as you guys watch as this group walks past you, you see a young man who has claw marks, very similar to those that Davos and Xanthus have had earlier. But these seem to have black veins that are spreading from those claw marks. His eyes are kind of just rolling in his head as he just seems to be in like a feverish state. And there is almost one of the wounds on his left shoulder that looks to have some sort of black inkiness that is spreading across his body. And for most of you present here, that black inkiness looks awfully familiar. And that is where we're going to go to break.
Oh no.
So,
He's a Cylon.
Fine.
yeah, I'll put these names also. Melon and Cylon. Okay. Scary, hold me. Yeah, Genasi. Anyway, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere after these messages. Whoa, 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 whoa. You wake up with a start. And you are on the ship. Taking a deep breath. It was just a dream. It was a memory. But it is past now. Years have passed since Order 66. And still, it makes your heart race.
Okay. I felt,
Yeah.
you know.
It was the dream again.
Oh, again, I'm sorry.
It's happening more frequently, but it's okay. I didn't throw anything this time, so nothing's
Improvements.
broken.
Yes.
Kile Kale Rangon Koka.
And he comes in and gives you a big hug.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
I could choke him from far.
Oh, I like that idea.
I love the skills this team has, Laura. You go for it.
Entering into the room, two individuals, a Mira Luca and a human, both with red lightsabers with circular hilts. Well. It's clear to me that you are not trained in the Jedi ways. You don't have any of these skills, clearly. It would make it that much easier for you to join the Inquisition. I already sense enough darkness here to get you along your path.
Offer to join the Inquisition. That's our big break, I think. Yeah. We might need to respectfully decline. Maybe next year we can meet up at some point and talk again. What do you think?
Reaches up her hand, putting it on his face, sort of like grabbing into it and be like, we will never join you guys.
Well, Cora, you feel that it's not just the Inquisitor that is tapping into this other side.
I turn to Laura and just be like, hey, remember the balance thing? Just saying.
my god. Hello, everybody.
Don't give us free time. We end up talking about stuff.
I know.
It's okay. At least we kept Terra off Urban Dictionary this time.
This time.
That's how you jinxed it.
This time, they say. All right.
It's been a while since I've been there.
Don't go back. Don't do it.
All right. So, as you guys see Aratus quickly bringing this young man who looks to be probably like late teens, him and the surrounding fishermen that were apparently there upon their arrival. They all look soaked and wet, like they had just helped pull them out of the waters, and are now bringing them here to one of the low beds that is here on the outside of the temple. Immediately, you can see Aratus gets down to his knees and puts this same hand on his forehead for a brief moment before pulling his hand back and like as if he had touched a fiery coal, just like shakes his hand.
Aratus, have you seen this before?
He looks at his hand, looks back at the boy. Not like this, no. I have to think. He looks over at the Misto. To keep him calm and unmoving, but do your best not to touch any of the wounds, particularly that one. And he points to where the festering black ooze is seems like it looks like almost like a handprint, but just as if there were like two hands, kind of like goes like this, but it just like looks latched onto his shoulder. And
I am a healer too. I can do what I can. I don't have my kit with me though. It is back.
You need it, Misto.
Sorry, what was said? It got a little garbled there for me.
It did. We all just said things at once, so I don't know.
Ask the Misto if she needed her kit.
If you could, Phoebe, please.
Of course. And like the monk that she is, she will run like the wind. Actually, I guess with Phoebe it would be approaching light speed.
That's terrible. Take 2 points of psychic damage. Everyone else takes 2 points of psychic damage.
As I add a little bit of the adjusted density so she can move just a little bit faster, so she approaches ludicrous speed.
Oh no. Yeah. As long as she doesn't go into plaid, that's all I ask. Okay.
Well, considering
Phoebe takes
probably
off.
already wearing plaid.
All right, anyway.
How many lesbian jokes can we fit into one session?
I don't know.
I think you mean cramming, but never mind, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely took psychic damage on that one.
You take off. You're gone. Boom. Goodbye. Aratus gets up and he's like, I'm going to get my sister. I will be right back. Don't touch. Don't touch. And he's like, takes off running.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The Misto might burn ascending tonight, I think. Because she wants to know how to treat this wound. She's been instructed not to touch, but she does medicine on people too. She wants to touch. So, this is going to be the first time that she is trying to use ascending to a god that she's never spoken to before, so that's going to be fun. While I think about how she needs to talk to Asclepios, why don't you let Laertes go?
Okay.
Very simple. It's just going to be attempting to ritualistically cast identify. Because so far, I've not had the time to analyze a pseudo-living sample. It's always been in the aftermath when it's kind of bubbling away into evaporation. Rarely an active one. And now I have a very awful opportunity. I don't know how to heal it, but I can at least take a moment to try and parse something of it that maybe will be of use to Themisto.
Okay. The other sailors right now, the boy seems to be not in the mode of like thrashing. He's kind of just like, it's like, how did I put this?
Twitching.
There's minor spasms. It's just like you can see his body like occasionally tense. So it's not quite like a seizure per se, but it's just like a very calm, like, but strong, where you can see like the muscles ripple across his body, like they're just tightening sequentially, like down his like side and down his leg. One of the arms kind of bends backwards and the shoulder pops forward or back a little bit, and then he kind of relaxes. His eyes are continually like rolling. It's like he's having a fever dream.
I have an interesting idea.
Okay. The Laertes, go ahead and make a Arcana check, I guess.
Sure.
Or you say
18.
18? All right, cool. Themisto?
Themisto is going to lean over the kid and look. Is he cogent? Like, is he aware of stuff?
Doesn't seem like it. His eyes.
Themisto's actually gonna start doing the checks, right?
Okay.
And so first, just checking for responsiveness to her hand motion above his eyes, and then it's like, Selon, can you hear me?
There is no, like, his eyes like see you for a second and then they just kind of roll elsewhere.
Okay. Then next, he doesn't say anything to the verbal cue either.
No.
Okay. Then I want to kind of grab near his, like the pad in between, like the webbing between his thumb and his index finger, and kind of like pinch.
Okay.
Does he respond to pain? Does he like do an additional groan or anything?
Doesn't seem like it at first, but I will say when you do that for a second, he like grabs your hand.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and.
Yeah, it's not like a violent response. It's just like, oh, he feels like someone's hand there, and he's like holding on. You can feel.
Yeah, I'm gonna transfer then to just that grip, and I don't know if this is going to work because he's not totally responding to me, but having, one of my stakes is like looking down at the hand clutched still, and I'm gonna look towards his face, and say, be calm, help is coming. And I'm casting suggestion to try to calm him down.
Oh, nice. Is there a save for this, or it just happens? I don't remember.
There is a save.
Well, it doesn't matter because you rolled a 5, so I'm sure that's fine.
Yes, I succeed. So for up to 8 hours, he will make, as long as it's a reasonable sounding action,
Nice.
the creature will try to undertake it. So if he feels like he should be calm for 8 hours, then
I'll say
he
that
can try to mellow out.
Yeah, I'll say that
Within reason.
the strength of the spasms seems to calm. So it kind of brings him down a little bit. He still occasionally the muscles will contract, but it's not. There doesn't seem to be like the moaning and groaning that goes along with like the pain that he seems to be in right now.
As a side note, the D&D spell components for suggestion, if I were to use materials and not be a divine caster, although the Mista uses a lot of materials anyway, that's neither here nor there, are honeycomb and a snake's tongue.
Ha!
I love spoken.
No
elements.
wonder Cleo was always so sassy.
She's casting suggestion, just doesn't have the honeycomb. Cypress, seeing Themisto begin this treatment, but without the full tools of her disposal, aware of what Aratus said, as well as the fact of to not touch, as well as the fact that he probably already attempted what Cypress is thinking of doing. He's still going to go through his own steps of trying to treat someone. And as he sees that Cylon is calming, he will at first touch near the wound and with a deep breath try and draw out either a poison or a disease. But he's expecting pain as he's putting his hand down.
Okay.
This is lay on hands to
right.
spending the 5.
Okay, so this is not a. Okay, cool. Let's see here. I'm gonna say that as you do this, you place your hand close to this point. There is a brief moment where the darkened veins on the skin move and slither like worms beneath flesh. They were initially like veins, like a poison that spreads from this spot. Now, like I guess wiggle is a fine enough word, but they tend to wiggle and move like they've like been upset, and then start stretching towards where your hand is placed. Not in a like quickness. There's just like a little bit of like almost like a magnetism that is pulling them towards where your hand is. And as you expend this energy into the boy's body, you can see some of the other cuts, tears, and wounds on his flesh begin to like sizzle with a golden, almost like a golden filament of light. Just kind of like, it looks like when you put fire to a when a firework is lit and you can just see like that little sizzle of the gunpowder. It's like that, but this golden crackle of energy around the flesh that just kind of like sizzles, and as you can see it start to bring the flesh together as he is healed a bit. But it seems that the infection of whatever's there seems to not dissipate. It just seems to like move and writhe a little bit, and now it's kind of like seeking closer to your hand. You got like 2-3 inches before it like actually touches you, but you can see it beneath the flesh. It just kind of like starts to like vein and grow like roots towards where your hand is at.
Okay, so it's growing towards his hands, not shifting towards
it's
his
shifting, and it kind of looks like it's trying to grow. It doesn't have a lot of in that motion. It's just shifting in such a way that it looks like it's growing, but it's not really growing. It's just moving in a way that it looks like it's going closer to your hand than it was before.
Cypress is tempted. At first, for now, he will trust in Themisto's abilities when she gets all of her tools. So, to give the boy more time, hopefully, he will lean down and whisper over him, strong, and will enhance his ability with Bear's Endurance.
Okay.
Nice.
So advantage on Constitution checks and 2d6 temporary hit points that are lost when the spell ends. But it lasts up to an hour of concentration.
So hopefully that's enough for this
Should
emergency
be.
surgery. Yeah.
I mean, if we don't solve something in the next 30 minutes, we can change tactics.
All right.
How's Phoebe's sprint going?
I mean, she's running to the town. Like I said, it's about a half mile, so it's how fast would we say you could cover in a minute?
In a minute, that's like 1,600 feet.
So, okay, and about a minute you would be getting there, and then a minute back.
Well,
That's a fast mile.
That's so quick.
That's a very
That's
fast mile.
with
That's
if I was casting haste.
Oh, haste,
3
that's
miles.
right.
So
Because a mile.
So would I get an extra 10 feet per turn with
Wait,
what
no.
you cast?
yeah.
Okay. A moment. Let me do some math.
All right. Okay.
1,600 feet is actually a third of a mile,
Yeah.
about. But that's a fast mile.
She's real fast.
Okay, I can go 900 feet in a minute. And what did we determine was a minute a mile last time?
We'll just say a nice 5,000 feet. I think it's like 5,200 something, but
Okay.
52 tomatoes.
Okay, so it would take me it'd take me about 3 minutes to sprint half a mile there.
That's so quick. I love it.
all right.
We really would look down for a second, look back up, and Phoebe's back.
Thank you, Martel, for putting it in Canadian speak.
You're not even Canadian.
Okay. So, is your running, and then Themisto, are you doing anything else, or just kind of holding with this for right now?
I think I've decided that I'm gonna ask Hecate, the ascending, because she knows that we're dealing with Beldura. I don't know what Asclepios does. So we're gonna go with
Sends kids to
Goddess of
medical
Mysteries. Well, I know what he does, but I don't know what he does in terms of Beldura.
Beautiful.
I don't know why that accent.
It was
I
great,
know
though.
what he does.
It's so good, though.
Beldura lives in the Bronx, you know.
We all know what he does.
I mean, not Beldura, Asclepius.
Beldura,
yes.
Asclepius, same guy.
Anyway, since I've reached out to Hecate a couple times before, and one of my hands is currently occupied, I will just touch my sword, my divine focus, and with my hands sort of trace some of the patterns that I remember Laertes doing with me the couple of other times that we have reached out to her. And using sending, I will say a mortal is wounded. The trace of the plague is on him. How do I treat this?
Their reply. Are you done, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. The reply is almost instant. I see. Am watching. The plague must be excised. Burned. He probably will not survive.
Mr. will nod, and now her mind turns to Phoebe, and when Phoebe gets back, it's not going to be Themisto's kit that she's asking for.
Okay. Laertes, what are you say?
Asking about my Arcana roll.
Okay. I was going to go into that, but I didn't know if you had something else
Nope.
beyond that.
Just rounding back to it.
Because this is 10 minutes for your ritual casting?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
There's this moment. I'm gonna say that whenever you do like an identify through ritual casting, it's almost like you do the 1,000-yard stare, and it's just like a slow building of more and more and more, like a zoom in kind of microscopic level. You're just kind of like going, trying to like get to that subatomic level. It's terrifying. You're seeing this plague consume human flesh before your eyes. You have heard the stories and you have seen visions of what all it does. This is the first time you're getting to watch it up close through your eyes, with your senses, with your particular knowledge. And the closer and closer as your vision takes you to this, you're watching like acid. It take the cellular structure of this boy and corrupt it and twist it and remake it into itself. So it's almost like where the corruption touches flesh around the wound at a very small microscopic level, you're watching it just like, it's almost like it pulls the flesh and weaves it into itself. And as it turns over itself, it becomes more of that black inkiness and is slowly spreading. It's happening a lot slower than the visions you have seen before, leaving you to believe that this is such a small, minute fraction of it that it
like
doesn't.
I was supposing last week, where it's stretching itself thin. When it's more condensed, it can do this almost instantly.
Yes. And so this is just like a slow reworking of the flesh. It's very much like you imagine the weaving of tapestries and pulling all of these threads. It's pulling the threads of his flesh and making something else of it.
Do I get a sense that there's a core of this, or is it kind of just once it's already been attached, it's just everything is now the core as it's corrupting everything else?
It doesn't seem to have a core to it.
Okay.
It's just like spray. It's like whatever wound had happened here is now covered so much that you can't really tell if there was ever a center to it. You just see that physically there looks like a center, but it doesn't look like it itself has a particular center to it.
Okay. Am I able to, at this level, see enough of a difference between the person and the infection?
Only at the edges.
Only at the edges.
Yeah, the edges of it seems to be the meeting point of the two. But once it goes beyond that, like into it, it's just that film, that vile, oily film that it leaves.
So like the moment that I have like an encapsulation of the outline, it's already grown.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, interesting. I kind of want to try something a little both off-label and on-label. I want to slow it down further.
Interesting.
To either give the Misto or I more time to try and figure this out, or Eratus. And maybe give the boy a fighting chance, just in terms of if it's progressing slower, he can fight back on his own. At least more than he would. And trying to encapsulate this entire thing, I can see almost down to its structure. And I try to just slow that rotation of every single atom of its atomic structure. It's always going to keep spinning, but if I can just slow it down a little bit, make it fight for just a little bit more. First, I'm going to actually spend the spell slot. As I cast slow on it.
Is there a save for this, right?
Yes, it is a wisdom save.
What's the spell DC?
16.
Okay.
Now, can a tumor
Yeah,
roll
that's where I was, because I rolled an 18. But if
Mhm.
this thing doesn't really have a mental presence, it's not going to have wisdom. And that is probably going to be your saving grace here, because I don't, I mean, you know what? Let me look at this real quick.
I have no expectation that this works. I just
I
like
know,
the
but
attempt.
yeah, and so do I. And I'm kind of, I went with a slime.
If it would make it feel easier, I can also force a reroll if that would.
Mm.
Would you like me to use that instead?
Hold on. I'm trying to. No. This is not what I was thinking would be. We'll just do this. Yeah. Okay. You can, if you want to try and reroll it. I will allow you to reroll it.
I would do it in the sense that if I feel it being able to push back, then I would do it. But do I get that sense?
It is pushing back a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. You feel like you are trying to slow it, and it seems to be reacting to the attempt a little bit, like almost like it feels something and is like not necessarily is excited about it, but it like, oh wait, this is different. This is
external.
This is external. And as extra flavor for this, where you see the tendrils that are moving towards Cypress's hand, the surface of the black ooze. You ever seen when they put like that liquid that's on top of a speaker and you see it like do the weird like little jangles? There's
scintillating, I think is what they call it.
There is going to be a little bit of that like begins to like it's not full tendrils that are reaching up towards you, but you can see the vibration of it like shimmering and shaking to where it starts to like tendril up just a little bit. It's like a bunch of little spikes that are breaking the surface to try and find where this external stimuli is coming from.
Okay, so maybe just the fact that I have its attention is going to slow it down on the boy. But so you expended my resource to force the reroll.
Oh, okay.
The chronal shift, if that maybe changes something.
That brings it down to a 6 from a 16.
Okay, great. It's going to have to roll another save.
Okay.
As I try to force it to stop even more.
7. If it's still wisdom, that brings it down to a 5.
It is a wisdom.
Okay.
So here's the fun bit. It's now experiencing a form of stasis until the start of my next turn. Not that we're really in initiative, but if that matters. And it takes 1d8 force damage while also being stunned.
Nice.
That's max 8 force damage. So I imagine just the sheer shock of every single atom slowing to a brief stop is enough to do some kind of tear to it, down to its actual like atomic state.
Nice.
And as I'm kind of just holding my hands over this, you kind of start to see that flop sweat starting as he's absolutely concentrating on this, both the slow and the actual stilling. So the slow will continue after the stun. And we've reworked how this stasis works now. So it is actually stunned.
Okay.
Technically. So it fails a bunch of stuff automatically.
So as it's just, you can see it start to shrug and move, and as the tendrils start to go towards Cypress, they kind of stop and seize and spasm a little bit, and then just like freeze where they're at. You can see even the pieces that were kind of starting to scintillate up towards you have also like frozen in place, and they're just like vibrating, but in like the sense of like them trying to move but not being able to. There's just like that little bit of like a when you hyper stress your muscles and there's just like that quick vibration kind of thing. It's that.
Oh, that's unlocked an old sense memory. Which is funny because when I think I mentioned this in our dumplings episode, is that when I had that injury and my hand was doing this for like almost 6 months.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Laertes is doing right now. Is he's starting to concentrate, and he's starting to buckle a little bit. Well, this thing is basically frozen. He's starting to move.
Yeah.
And he just, as he's holding his hands up, I can't hold this for long. Someone do something.
Okay. Themista, what were you gonna say or do?
I was just checking based off of the length of Laertes' cast if Phoebe is now back.
Well, we didn't go all the way through the 10 minutes for his identify. That was just.
What about 6 of them?
No, not quite. We're probably at the 4 mark. Well, we are gonna say that Phoebe, you have run into the room and are running back right now. It would be faster. You're gonna see Eratus and now a older looking woman who looks to be maybe closer in her 40s, perhaps. They are both gonna be running over to where you guys are at. You can see now that Belon, the dad, and the other members of the fisherman group that had pulled him in are now like backing up a little bit, seeing you three at work here and realizing that they're just kind of like in awe. And then you can see Belon is like on his knees and looks like he's just praying to himself.
Sure.
It's kind of like they're just in a state of like panic, but also staying back a little bit. Cylon is now calmed some. You can see that the writhing has stopped now that Laertes seems to have slowed this. But Eratus comes over, and as he sits down, he brings there's a small wooden box that he immediately flips open, and there's a bunch of salves, bandages, and a bunch of other things that are in it. He starts like filing through. You see the woman, Iaso, go over to the boy's head, kneel down, kind of places her knees kind of under the bed a little bit, so she scoots up as close as possible to his head, and she puts both hands kind of just over each side of his head and just closes her eyes as she tries to like dive in almost. She seems to concentrate some, and you can see that his body begins to relax even more and just kind of floats there for a second. Just seems to float just above the bed before like laying down. She like immediately pulls back. Where was this? She looks to Belon. He's like, where was he corrupted? Where did this happen? And he immediately starts going off. We were spending the night out by one of the islands to the east of here, and we were hearing strange noises. We decided to try and come back, and then we were set upon by harpies. They were not. Something was wrong with them. They were not normal. They looked sick or something, and as we tried to flee from them, keeping them away with fire, one of them, one of the larger ones, grabbed my son, and she bit his shoulder in a way I've never seen a harpy do before her. It was beyond anything I've ever seen. Before too long, we heard noises from below the ocean, a rumbling sound, and we were befell by a kraken, I believe. I don't know. The ship just splintered apart and was torn asunder. And you see Astrid immediately, like, her eyes widen. hearing this. Aratus is gonna look over at Themisto and Laertes and Cypress and be like, Are you he looks at Laertes, are you doing this?
I'm slowing it down. That's all I can do right now. Someone do something.
When Phoebe gets back, I can help. I know what this is.
We have never seen something this bad before. This, he starts to gesture to the skin that has like the darkened veins around it. Like, this we have seen, but this, and he points to the black ooze itself. He's like, this we have not seen. Perhaps one of the he like looks into the bag and brings out like a sharpened knife, almost like a not quite scalpel. It's just a really wide blade, and he starts to try and start carving or cutting the black ooze to try and like peel it back, but he's not touching it. He's just kind of like trying to see if it will.
I'm gonna tell him what I've heard. Yeah. It must be burned, but it is not going to be with ordinary fire.
He looks
Once you have made the incision, I can help, but I need Phoebe back.
We'll say that by this point, looking down the way, you can hear the of Phoebe running back as fast as she can up the path that leads to where you guys are at. And we'll say within a couple of seconds that you arrive, breathless, but arrive.
Yeah, she's kind of holding out your bag, trying to catch her breath.
Themisto will take the bag with her free hand. Just, Phoebe, I know what we must do. Nobody uses the power of the sun like you do, and this must be burned away. Help me to focus this. Take my sword.
I'll take the sword.
And place the point at the wound, please. And then the mister's gonna take your hand with her free hand, and then she'll be like, Cypress, the sun on my shield, tap it, please. Ring it like you have seen me do.
Ring the sunlight on your shield?
Yes. So she's got a symbol of a sun, like wreathed in vines on her shield.
He will attempt to do that, as per your description.
Okay, so Themisto is going to be like, wait, Phoebe, thinking about your powers, your son. We are going to try to channel this. Direct it into the wound, please. And Themisto is going to try to do a very janky, like, guiding bolt sort of situation where, because it's always been like sun ray themed before, and we're doing the elements that would normally happen, but since one of her hands is not free, Cypress is ringing her shield to invoke it. Phoebe, being Solar Girl, is like a tuner and amplifier, I hope, so we don't just kill the kid. We can actually direct it at the wound.
Beautiful.
Instead of directing it at the person. So that's my hope here, and it being slowed down by Laertes and stunned hopefully gives us a higher chance of success. So,
it also has a -2 to AC. It's going to auto fail Dex and Strength. There's a lot of debuffs happening at the moment. I'll have to actually go through a whole compiled list now because it's stacked.
Go ahead and make an attack roll with your with advantage as you are guiding this bolt of fire
Okay. All right, Phoebe, be my focusing crystal for me here. At advantage, you said?
Yep.
We are rolling collectively, all of us,
Mm-hmm.
a 22.
22. Well,
Mhm.
the AC was 5, so.
Was that
Your-
after the -2?
Yes.
Okay.
You see, there's this moment as like Phoebe's holding your hands, the wings of solar flare start to like pour from her shoulders outwards, but instead of forming like the strange solar wings that they do, they kind of oh my gosh, this is in my mind. This is one of the X-Men movies, like Havoc has like those like energy bands that go pull forward instead and then burst
Nice.
outwards. It's kind of like that. So instead of going outwards, they kind of curl forwards and then start to wrap around her arm as she guides your arm, and you have your own like radiantness that kind of sparkles around you from the gong like boom of the shield that like it's almost like hitting it causes the golden dust of your Orphic power to kind of go poof, but instead of it bursting out and then funneling into a bolt, it also kind of bursts out and wraps itself. So like these two ribbons of power
Excellent.
going down the arm into the sword, and then like a laser focus just go poof, firing right into the center of the creature.
The first time Themisto does anything, it's got to be really extra and include her friends. So this is perfect.
This is so cool, though.
There is literally this loud like screech that seems to like echo from the thing itself as it like bursts in the it splits open at the impact of the fire, and you realize that as it splits open, it's almost like a mouth that is consuming the flames that are coming into it,
okay.
and it just makes that scream before the mouth continues to explode and it disintegrates. But it also severs the boy's arm at that shoulder point, and you're not realizing that the infection had already been the joining point between arm and body. So upon it blasting through it, his arm collapses onto the ground. Still, had you been you hadn't been holding his hand still, right? Did you let that go?
I was holding his hand.
Okay, so his hand's still holding onto yours, but it is the arm that has fallen out to the ground. And that sizzle, the same kind of sizzle that Cypress had, you had seen with it healing the wounds, you see it burn the last of that black ooze from both shoulder and arm, and it just stops at the points where the infection had been.
Oh. Well, he did have temporary hit points.
Laertes, what were we gonna say?
Oh, just because I was connected to it, like down to understanding its entire structure, did I feel it
You
just
were-
wink out
Yeah.
entirely?
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing to concentrate on now.
No.
Okay. Once the concentration is broken, he kind of just slumps in just its like sweat-riddled heap.
Themisto is going to be in total doctor mode, and seeing the arm fall off is initially shocking, but slightly panicked because she's never dealt with this type of injury before, is going to pick it up and place it near the wound site, and then trying to do like a combo mending cure wounds. Is gonna like, okay, I practiced this with Laertes. He described it as what I do when I heal. Maybe we can make this work.
Baby will also squeeze your hand as you're like sitting up.
Okay,
There
perfect.
are two children of Asclepius here. You don't have to do it on your own.
Right. Yeah, so Aratus, can you help me with this?
Where am I? Where am
That
I?
guy again.
This is where you find he's just been a really good charlatan this whole time, and he's just, oh my god, blood.
But yeah, I
Uh,
figure I can upcast Cure Wounds at the 3rd level, along with throw in a little mending cantrip and try
I
to
do want to
put the
witness the
arm back
like,
on.
yeah, sinews like weaving themselves back together.
And-
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Well, I'll let you say before I decide to like bother with the whole motion that she ends up doing.
Okay. I was gonna say before Phoebe had mentioned that yes, as soon as you try to put the arm there, and you put your hand close, releasing this. I'm assuming releasing the sword or keeping that sword in your hand.
Phoebe was holding the sword.
Oh, Phoebe was holding the sword. Okay. Your hand goes there. Aratus also puts his hand, one hand on the arm, one on the shoulder. And you
Excellent.
see Iaso also puts her hands on over her brother's hands. You have seen each other's Orphic power at work. The sparkling golden energy field that kind of surrounds you and then like solidifies into whatever it is that you are trying to do. This is one of the most brilliant displays you have ever seen when it comes to healing. One of them is casting also a Cure Wounds, but at a 6th level. And then the other one is like a... oh my gosh. Well, it's another... That's one of the ones where you can kind of like grow an arm back. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the spell off the top of my head.
Regenerate.
So the other one is a regenerate. So Iaso does regenerate. Aratus is doing a really high level heal wounds or cure wounds. As the energy flows out from them, they burst in a white light, different than your old golden energies. This white light bursts from both of them, and then you can immediately see it like funnel in like swirling lines that kind of like ring around and around and around and around, that kind of match whatever you were about to say that you were doing.
Well, honestly, Themisto is in the presence of some master divine surgeons at this point, so I think, she does what little help she can, but she was going to be taking her own green and gold swirls and like in a stitching motion, almost as if she's like crossing little threads together to bring the material of the wound back together. So I suppose while this white swirl is whipping around, you're seeing these tiny little threads with her fingers moving, going
Nice.
over with the little signature like Gaia blossoms occasionally sparking little tiny flowers that then fade and disappear.
Nice. All right. As that is happening, the boy has now gone unconscious. Like he is out. His eyes have now shut. They burst open wide, and it almost like the scream came from both him and the infection at the same time. But then after that, he just kind of like either passed out from pain or just passed out from exhaustion.
Also, for my suggestion for him to be calm for that spell,
Yeah.
I think it is up to his estimation of, oh, my arm's off, if it is still reasonable to remain calm.
Oh no,
It
does he go
seems like
full
he's
Black
in good
Knight?
hands.
I
But
mean, he wasn't really conscious of what happened. It was
I
just
wish
like
to not
the
be
pain.
calm anymore.
so then in that case, he may still be under the effect of suggestion.
Still under the effect of suggestion. the lights fade away, and you can see a very scarred but attached arm back on his shoulder. Something like that is not something that can be normally done like fast, but because there were, I would say, like 3 of you put together in this sort of situation, it did reattach at a point, but there is still like, he will be maimed to a degree just from the amount of flesh that was lost to the infection, and then just reattaching it. So
I
it
get the
still
feeling
works.
he might not have perfect use of it right
Yeah,
away,
right,
too.
right.
Like nerves need to
Yeah.
refigure. And
But the arm is reattached. And you see Bellon now has like on hands and knees crawled back over to his son and like is embracing him. And just over and over going, thank you so much.
the Mister was going to look at everyone, and, give approving, thankful nod.
I don't know what I would have done had you all not been here. I am truly blessed to have been in the presence of so many of the gods. And he like bows his head in reverence.
I feel like that is something we should protest.
We are just happy that we are here to help. It is not always certain where we will be, but we were here at the right time.
And that is all I can be grateful for. I owe the temple so much. You see Aratus is like, it's fine. Go take him, talking to the other people present. Take him back to his home. Here, give him this. And he gives them a little pouch. Boil it in water and give it to him. It will help him recover. It might take some time, but we'll recover.
Licorice.
There's a smile on Aratus's face as he kind of just like looks over and kind of goes a little like, yeah, you know.
Phoebe will hand the sword back to the Misto. Thank you for
Misto will-
letting me play a role in that.
The Mister will take it, clasping her hand over Phoebe's. I could not have done it without you. And then she'll take the sword and put it in the sheath.
Nice. Not quite the introduction that I had imagined, but hello, thank you for your help. I am Yaso.
It's nice to meet
Yaso.
you, Yaso.
Yaso.
What you did was magnificent. Would that I could stay and learn these things for myself.
Well, they are things you could learn in time. I have a few questions of my own as far as how you all managed to... She looks at Phoebe and Cypress and Themisto and Laertes. How you all managed to do this, but I think I know the answer. She brushes off her knees and legs. She like stands up, brushing the dirt and dried grass from her dress. When Aratus came in and said that there were people of the blood and that there was a wounded, I did not quite know what to expect, but I am glad that you were able to help in the way that you did.
Fortune was with this boy this day.
You seem to have some knowledge of the corruption.
Not as much as I would like.
More than we have seen some things, but nothing this serious before. This is new.
Have all of the comers moved on?
Yeah.
Where is Mal?
She
just writing this all
furiously
down.
taking notes.
Wide-eyed is standing
Stack of
back.
wax tablets.
Yeah, she is just like wide-eyed. You almost see her hands out like this, like she didn't know what to do and just kind of frozen in place. But her eyes are so wide, like they're in like cat mode of like observe. I am seeing everything. It's basically like she's just like, but she's probably 5-10 feet away. She wasn't getting anywhere close, and it's just like kind of still in shock.
Since we have done so much, I will tell you now what I have told your brother, but I will say a little more. I gave him lemon balm seeds and bid him to have the farmers plant them. You know that they are good for putting people's minds at ease, or helping anyway.
Yes.
If used in a drink. This type of wound, it feeds on people's despair. To see such a thing is very frightening, but that is exactly what gives it its ability to feed. You must plant the lemon balm so that there is something, should it come to your village, that will help the people to counter it in their minds.
She nods slowly, looks at her brother. We will see that this happens. He spoke that you are an aspirant, but from what I've seen, you are much more than that. We have seen aspirants before. You most are not of the blood. In fact, I don't think that we have met. We have not met one. You will become a very powerful Prasiae.
Should the people of Delphi have me?
And should you choose the right path? Forgive me. Come inside. I have some soothing teas for all of us. I feel like we will all need it, and perhaps a little bit of the wine as well.
Misto, as we walk in, would like to put a hand on each of her friends, Cypress and Laertes, and then give Phoebe a big hug. And then follow Yaso and Aratus inside.
As you hug Phoebe, I don't know if you would have noticed precisely when it happened, but she looks slightly crestfallen.
I think Themisto is gonna see that and let the hug last a bit longer. Maybe lean her head in.
Going inside this priest abode on the side, it definitely has a little bit of like a duplex vibe. There is it kind of like, what is it called? The shotgun style apartment that just kind of goes all the way back, but there is like a main room and then there is a wall that divides all the way to the back of it. There in the front, there's a few cushions and chairs and like a couch, like one of those like laying couches that you can all sit down on. You are all made comfortable and brought some tea and warm wine. You can see that Ma'al the whole time is just kind of like tapping her fingers on the edges of her snout, like she's just like trying to process still everything she just saw. Just like, if it weren't for the fact that they had made her sit down, she probably would be pacing. She's just kind of just like mind blown. Yaso takes her cup and kind of cradles it in her hands before she takes a sip. How long have you known that you are of the blood?
Not very long.
Less than 2 weeks.
2 weeks? You are all more powerful than any other member of the blood we have ever come across before. Especially that new. Or how long have you known that you have special abilities?
He looks around to the other ones and just... I started exhibiting some things 13, 14. I thought I was just having a better understanding of physics and how the world works, how to manipulate it.
Well, you can say that is true. That makes more sense, I suppose.
I've spoken with Apollo for years, though I did not know until very recently that it was him.
You've spoken to Apollo?
A version of him.
Oh, Apollo is Apollo. I suppose you mean the facsimile of him, the young one.
Theodoros.
I have heard of that one. But we have yet to meet our grandfather, the real one.
I've not met his real self yet either.
Who set you? Who gave you the knowledge? Who sent you on this path? Was it your own doing, or?
The Mister's gonna kind of look to the rest of the crew before she says anything, seeing how the rest of the young Orphics are feeling currently. If we are gonna spill all of our beans or just some.
The meta pigeon asks the Mister if she sees any kind of sign since Hecate said she was watching.
Well,
You haven't. It's been nothing but what you have seen so far.
yeah, my snake's not catching on anything weird.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Well, nothing else that's already weird. Blair just kind of just nods to Themisto.
Okay. Themisto is going to say, Our journey was entreated to us by two gods, but I cannot say their name to you right now. We are sworn to secrecy on this. I suppose, since you are like us, maybe it is safe. And maybe we could use your help. So, seek the Lady of Mysteries herself. She will be able to tell you more.
There's a very slow nod from Iaso. We have spoken.
You have?
When the Harpies first settled into the mountains a year or two ago, when the farmers started coming in with wounds that would not heal beyond normal scratches and claw marks, this Lady of Mysteries came to us. She knew who we were. Apparently she has spoken with our father before. She taught us how to treat some of the wounds. Minor infections of something plague-like. She said it could spread if we were not careful. But we managed to excise the wounds enough where the infection eventually died out. Too weak to continue. We have not spoken to her since. She tried to recruit us, I guess you could say. But we have duties here that would prevent us from leaving this village.
Two of you for such a small village.
For a while, there was a lot of work for us. The past priests did the best they could. But they were not gifted like we were. And once word got out, everyone came here until slowly people stopped coming as much. I'm not sure why. But then recently, we knew the Harpies left. We had heard from the farmers that they watched them fly, but days ago, fly out over to the sea. Or we assumed that they were finding a new roost. Tired of the fight against the farmers. Apparently not.
I don't think they have grown tired of the fight, but that there is a stronger call to them now.
So it would seem.
Where does your father stand in all of this?
I wish I knew. We have not seen him in many years. Since we were children. Story goes he and Zeus had a disagreement. Some people say Zeus killed him. I am not one prone to believe in that story, but or part of me still believes he lives. I feel I would know if he died. But also I
And
do not
he's
know
your
where
actual blood father.
Asclepius?
Yes.
Yes. Me and Aratus have different mothers, but still our father. If you find him in wherever you are going, tell that bastard we're still looking for him and wait for his return, but I feel that something is keeping him away. I just do not know what.
Yeah.
Would not be
Mister's gonna
the
look to
only
Phoebe.
one. You would not be the only one prevented from reaching out.
My next question is simple. What do you intend to do with your gifts?
Fight.
For what?
Prevent further calamity. Preserve as much life as possible.
That is good. For not everyone with a gift has such noble purposes. We have spoken to some, and we wish we could have stopped them. Not all of the blood are as noble as you are. Keep that in mind. She takes another long sip of her wine and lets the thought marinate. And as the implications that there may be some amongst the Orphic kind on this planet that do not have the best of intentions.
When we've run into a version of one of those.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, you have.
And that's when Martel joins.
Dun, 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 dun! Just kidding. But that is where we will end for tonight. So,
Ooh.
with interesting developments, I guess you could say, we will end it there for tonight and pick this up next Tuesday. But
Feel better, Sonder.
Yeah, feel
Yes.
better, Sonder. All right, rude, Martel. Until then, be brave, stay fit, and stay for this mango. The others aren't
bunny spread. Gaze
others-
upon you.
The others aren't. They're not. Haven't been immortalized quite yet.
They're time limited.
They're time limited.
Seasonal offer.
Yeah, seasonal offer only. But in any
Well,
case,
gaze upon you is about to be. So that one better not end now.
No, we're ending it now. We're just trying. We don't want to. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.